Earth was never on the emergency maps. In the databanks of the Galactic Concord, the blue-green planet orbiting a modest yellow star was flagged with a single, dismissive annotation: pre-FTL, biologically aggressive, politically fractured. No evacuation corridors led there. No relief fleets were authorized to stop within its gravity well. If a species found itself desperate enough to flee toward Earth, the official doctrine was clear: they would not be saved. Commander Ilex understood this doctrine better than most. She had helped write parts of it. Now she stood on the bridge of the Refugee vessel cenotaph, staring at a hollow display bleeding red warnings across the air. Hull breaches, failing life support, drive core poison beyond repair. And behind them, slipping through folded space like a hunting beast, came the Car Dominion's Eradicator fleet. There are no remaining authorized havens, her navigation officer said quietly, frills flattened in resignation. All nearby systems have closed their borders, even the neutral worlds. Ilex already knew. She had watched the refusals arrive one by one, polite but absolute. Their species, the Volari, had been deemed strategically inconvenient. Saving them would cost resources. Protecting them would provoke war. The galaxy had chosen efficiency over mercy. How long until interception? Ilex asked. 6 hours, came the answer. At most. 6 hours until extinction. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of dying systems and the distant vibration of terrified lives packed into the refugee decks. Children, elders, scientists, farmers, an entire civilization reduced to a single failing ship. Ilex's gaze drifted to the edge of the star map, to a system blinking faintly with a yellow icon. Sol. Earth. Her tactical officer stiffened. Commander, that world is not cleared for contact. Their species is unstable. They have no obligation under Concord law. No obligation, Ilex echoed. She remembered the debates. She remembered voting in favor of the clause that excluded pre-FTL worlds from emergency asylum. Too dangerous. Too unpredictable. Too costly. Earth wasn't meant to save anyone. Plot a course, she said softly. The bridge erupted in shocked murmurs. Commander, that violates. I know exactly what it violates, Ilex snapped, her composure cracking at last. But it's the only direction the car won't expect. And it's the only place left. The helmsman hesitated, then complied. The cenotaph limped toward Earth, chased by death and guided by desperation. 3 days later, Earth's planetary defense grid detected something it had never been designed to see. Colonel Aaron Hayes was halfway through cold coffee when the alarms went off. Sir, an analyst called out, eyes wide. Unknown vessel exiting FTL at the edge of the system. Sized enormous. Damage readings off the charts. Hayes leaned forward. Any weapons? Negative. Or mostly negative. They're barely holding together. First contact protocols flashed through his mind, half forgotten and never truly expected to be used. Humanity had always assumed it would meet the galaxy on equal footing or not at all. Not like this. Open a channel, Hayes said. The response came not in words, but in a flood of data so raw and desperate it nearly crashed the systems. Medical telemetry, life support failures, population counts, and a final, translated message. We are fleeing extinction. We know you owe us nothing. We ask only for time. The room went silent. One of the younger officers whispered, Sir, that's millions of lives. Hayes exhaled slowly. Earth's governments would debate this for weeks. Committees, councils, risk assessments. And in 6 hours, the car fleet would arrive and erase everything in their path. There wasn't time for Earth to decide. I want that ship escorted into high Earth orbit, Hayes said. Sir, someone protested. If the car follow, then they'll find out something about us, Hayes replied, voice hardening. Open a secure channel. I want to speak to their commander. Ilex appeared on the screen, her features sharp with exhaustion, eyes reflecting the dull glow of failing lights. I am Commander Ilex of the Volari, she said. If you intend to deny us, say it quickly. My people deserve honesty at the end. Hayes met her gaze. I'm Colonel Aaron Hayes, United Earth Defense. Commander, you've crossed into restricted space without authorization. Ilex inclined her head. We expected nothing else.
Hayes paused.
How long until your pursuers arrive? Hours, she answered. We will not attempt to draw them to your world if you turn us away. Hayes studied her for a long moment. Then he said, Earth wasn't meant to save anyone. At least, that's what the galaxy seems to think. Ilex said nothing. But here's the thing, Hayes continued. We're very good at doing things we're not meant to do. He leaned closer to the camera. We'll shelter your ship. We'll land your people. And when the cars show up, they answer to us. Ilex's composure finally broke. Colonel, if you do this, they will retaliate. Your world will be marked. Hayes nodded. Yeah, we figured. The evacuation was chaos. Volari physiology wasn't compatible with Earth's atmosphere without assistance, but humans adapted faster than any model predicted. Makeshift shelters sprang up across continents. Hospitals rewrote protocols overnight. Engineers printed new environmental suits while volunteers worked around the clock. Human civilians watched alien children take their first cautious steps on Earth's soil, eyes wide with fear and wonder. For the first time since fleeing their homeworld, the Volari slept without the sound of alarms. Then the sky burned. The car fleet emerged from FTL like a wound in space. Massive, brutal, confident. Their first transmission was simple. Release the fugitives. Earth will be spared. The message was broadcast across the planet. Global panic surged. Markets crashed. Some governments demanded compliance. Others prepared for war they had never imagined. In a small command room beneath Colorado granite, Aaron Hayes listened in silence. Then he responded. This is Earth, he said. You're in violation of our sovereign space. Turn around. Laughter crackled across the channel, metallic and cruel. You are not a member of the Concord. You have no standing. Hayes smiled thinly. Funny thing about standing. You don't need permission to stand your ground. The car opened fire. They expected orbital platforms. Maybe a handful of missiles. They did not expect humanity's doctrine of asymmetry. Railguns hidden in asteroids lit up space. Swarms of cheap, autonomous drones overwhelmed targeting systems. Old nuclear warheads, repurposed and shielded, detonated in precise patterns that tore through car formations. Human ships died. Thousands of them. But every loss cost the car more than they could afford. On the ground, Volari refugees watched through screens, horrified as humans fought a war that was never theirs. This is madness, Ilex whispered. No, Hayes replied from beside her. This is us. The battle raged for hours. Earth's defenses bent, nearly broke. Then the humans did something the galaxy would study in terror for centuries. They boarded. Human strike teams breached car flagships with reckless ferocity, fighting in vacuum, fire, and radiation. They targeted command nodes, reactors, anything that would end the fight faster. The car, masters of sterilization and distant annihilation, were unprepared for a species that treated close-quarters combat as tradition. When the last car vessel fled, burning and broken, Earth's orbit was littered with debris and silence. Earth had won. The aftermath reshaped everything. The Galactic Concord erupted in outrage and fear. Earth was condemned, sanctioned, threatened. And then the report spread. Humans had stood against the car and lived. Volari scientists shared data. Human tacticians shared footage. Other oppressed species began to whisper a forbidden idea. What if Earth answered? Weeks later, Ilex stood before the Concord Council, alive because one human had chosen defiance over doctrine. "You call Earth dangerous," she said, voice echoing through the chamber. "You are correct, but not because they conquer, because they protect." The chamber stirred. "They were not meant to save us," Ilex continued. "Yet one human decided that meant nothing. And because of that decision, my people live." She met the gaze of the assembled powers. "Understand this. Earth does not follow your rules. And that is why, when the galaxy needed a line that would not break, it held." Far away, on a world of blue oceans and stubborn hope, Aaron Hayes watched the stars. Earth hadn't been meant to save them. But once a human chose to try, the galaxy would never be the same. Years later, historians would argue over the exact moment the galaxy changed. Some claimed it was the first human railgun firing into the void. Others pointed to the boarding of the car flagship, when a species the galaxy considered primitive proved it could fight gods at arm's length. But among the Volari, the moment was far quieter. It was the day the last refugee dome on Earth was dismantled. Commander Ilex stood beneath an open sky she had once feared, watching Volari children breathe Earth air without filters for the first time. Their bodies had adapted, slowly but surely, aided by human medicine and an almost stubborn refusal to accept biological limits. Where the Concord would have abandoned them as inefficient, humans had asked a simpler question. How do we make this work? Aaron Hayes joined her. Older now, the weight of command etched permanently into his face. Earth had paid a price for its choice. Trade routes had closed. Threats still arrived weekly. But something else had arrived too. Allies.